So, there's a huge bubble of hot rock maybe rising under New England. Yeah. And this is not the only website that mentioned this. This is almost 4 years ago. Showing a relatively hot spot beneath New England's upper mantle. They observed a localized plume of warm rock beneath central Vermont, northwest New Hampshire, western Massachusetts, and found geologic evidence that it's on the move. Actually, other websites said Connecticut. Indicated, however, the skid marks were gone, erased by upward motion. The upwelling is likely tens of millions of years old, which would make it a relatively recent development in geological terms. And it's moving very slowly. For now, it certainly hasn't gotten close enough to the surface to shape similar geography or create a volcano. Maybe it didn't have time yet. Maybe it's too small and will never make it. Come back in 15 million years and we'll see what happens. 2,300 years ago. Hydroclimatic shocks triggered by faraway eruptions. Until the late 19th century, when the first dams were built on the Nile River, Egyptian farmers were utterly dependent on the annual monsoon. The heavy summer rains it brought to the Ethiopian highlands would push the Nile over its banks downstream, prepping the land for planting wheat and other crops. The Nile floods are so important they've been recorded accurately since 622 AD. Ludlow and his colleagues have found that massive volcanic eruptions, whose fallout is recorded in ice cores from Greenland and Antarctica, are associated with failures of the Nile floods. The team's climate modeling indicates that the clouds of sulfur and gas from the eruptions not only cooled the earth by reflecting sunlight, but also caused a drop in tropical monsoon rainfall, sometimes for years. Systematic flood records hadn't yet begun to be kept in the Plutonic period. Plutonic period. Polemic period, which extended from. Let me see how to pronounce this. How to pronounce. This is what it was.
Ptolemaic.
Ptolemaic.
Ptolemaic. Ptolemaic. Ptolemaic.
Ptolemaic. Huh. So it's Ptolemaic. Ptolemaic. So the P sign, so it's Ptolemaic, which extended from 305 BC to Cleopatra's death in 30 BC. But written records make it one of Egypt's most richly documented periods, with the Rosetta Stone detailing priestly proclamations and lengthy notes on papyrus confirming wars, uprisings, land transfers, and family squabbles. The unrest reflected in those written records can be linked to the eruptions recorded in the ice cores. In this region, once you go a few kilometers on the coast, there is no rainfall. You're effectively in Saharan territory, Ludlow says. When there's not a sufficient flood, you get food insecurity. People start to abandon land. They migrate to urban areas seeking food. That increases tensions, food riots, and all of this you can trace. Yep. The research was the brainchild of Joe Manning, a Yale University history professor in Ludlow Manning. Manning, a mountaineer, rock climber, was interested in paleoclimatology and started hosting informal gatherings of historians and climate experts. One evening, after a few glasses of wine, Manning and Ludlow, who was then also at Yale, started talking about volcanoes. Ludlow opened his computer and showed Manning data from recent ice cores. Those data allow scientists to peg the dates of major eruptions almost the year going back 2,300 years. I thought some of those spikes looked awfully familiar, recalls Manning. The study's lead author, and an expert in Ptolemaic dynasty. Ptolemaic dynasty. The planet during the last century has largely escaped significant eruptions, but explosions of the scale of the 1991 Mount Pinatubo disaster, the biggest in modern times, sometimes occurred 2 or 3 times a decade during the Ptolemaic period. 2 or 3 times a decade during the Ptolemaic period. Manning recognized some of the dates as periods of important uprisings. The authors suspect some of the lag time could reflect short-term coping efforts, such as Cleopatra's release of stored grain after 2 eruptions in 46 and 44 BC. After further research, the team showed that internal uprisings repeatedly came in the wake of these eruptions, sometimes peaking the second year. The authors suspect some of the lag time could reflect short-term coping efforts, such as Cleopatra's release of stored grain after 2 eruptions in 46 and 44 BC. Interestingly, the researchers didn't find any link between eruptions and the start of wars, but they did see a correlation between eruptions and wars ending. For example, 200 years before Cleopatra's reign, during one of many Syrian wars between Egypt and the Seleucid Empire, Ptolemy III's army had advanced all the way to Babylon on the Euphrates. Writings from one Roman historian state that Ptolemy was abruptly called home. Another papyrus claims he returned to quell domestic sedition, which also happened to coincide with 2 major eruptions. This seems to be the only credible explanation for why he would abandon such an incredibly successful military campaign, Ludlow says. The scientists are quick to say they aren't suggesting the actions of an entire Egyptian dynasty were driven by distant volcanoes, but they argue it's highly likely that volcanic eruptions were at least a significant contributing factor. When you see a shock to the river, no flooding for 2 or 3 years in a row, you suddenly see a lot of responses. Sometimes we think we're seeing fear and panic. Scientists don't know precisely where all the eruptions occur, whether in Alaska, Russia, the tropics, Iceland, or somewhere else entirely. The climate model suggests that volcanoes in the far northern hemisphere may have the largest impact on Egypt, because they tend to push the tropical rain belt to the south, reducing rains in the headwaters of the Nile. Residents of Alexandria would not have known, of course, what was happening, but one ancient text refers to the sun being obscured, the earth being scorched, and a lack of flooding and seeds. My reading of that is that it's describing a volcano. Manning says even though they don't understand that a volcano is erupting in Alaska and perturbing rainfall in the Ethiopian highlands. Repeated failures of the Nile floods may have forced families to sell land because poor yields left them unable to pay taxes. One revolt following an eruption in 209 BC came amid writings proclaiming that most of the farmers were killed and the land has gone dry. In fact, by the time of Cleopatra's defeat at the hands of the Roman navy, historical records show that Egypt had been hit by repeated lack of floods and faced famine, plague, inflation, administrative corruption, rural depopulation, migration, and land abandonment. While many factors contributed to the Ptolemaic dynasty's decline, the authors note that Cleopatra's death came on the heels of the third largest volcanic eruption of the last 2,500 years. Let me see when. Third BC eruption. That is a huge eruption. Wow. Anthropocene, wow. Epic. The Holocene epic. Technic fossils, wow. This is horrible. Look at all this trash. Means like no more roaming, no more nomading. This is like people staying in one place. Seated, somewhat inactive. Yeah. Sedentary. Like basically, like communities started forming. So, wow. Orbis. Illustrated forestry growth in the Americas. Global carbon dioxide levels were depressed below 285 parts per million, largely as a result of sequestration due to forest regrowth in the Americas. This was likely caused by indigenous peoples abandoning farmland following a sharp population decline due to initial contact with European diseases. Around 52 million, or about 90% of the indigenous population, may have succumbed. For Maslin and Lewis, the Orbis spike represents a GSSP, global boundary stratotype section endpoint. Anthropine to European arrival in the Americas makes sense given that the continent's colonization was instrumental in the development of the global trade networks and the capitalist economy, which played a significant role in initiating the Industrial Revolution and the Great Acceleration. Anthropocene, anthropogenic climate change. Where is the volcano forming? August 11th. Okay, let's see. Wow. One hybrid event. There were, ooh. Whoa, 107 volcanic earthquakes, including 100 volcanic tremor events lasting durations of 2 to 30 minutes. Okay, that is a pretty big increase now. One hybrid event. +6, 7. So, okay, 48 volcanic earthquakes. And yet, 3,849 tons. So now you have an increase. So going 2 days back, actually 3 days back now, 17. So 3,189, 1 to 12 minutes, so 17, August 9th. Yep. Look at that, 107 volcanic earthquakes. 3,849 tons a day, okay? Not that bad. Tau. No, not Tau. Yeah, I'm watching chiropractic videos because I just recently had my back adjusted and I've been watching this, so because I'm gonna go again. I have scoliosis of the spine. And I'm watching these videos because I want to know what to expect. Also, I kind of like the feeling of having my back cracked because I do it all the time myself, but yeah, apparently I probably don't do it the right way. Maybe that's why I have scoliosis. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about. So let's look at earthquake activity from Camp. Okay, this is current. Yeah, that was yesterday. It's a little quake. Okay, I'm going to bed now, guys. No earthquake except that little pop there, which was probably barely anything. But there was a 2 point something. Again, background activity. What you're seeing is just local background activity. These are not volcanic tremors. I mean, these are, but these are more like, there's an earthquake right there. Anyway. earthquakes here. Look at that. Yeah, Vesuvius has really been active lately with earthquakes. This is actually the caldera. This is the Soma volcano. This is Mount Vesuvius slash Soma. This is actually the modern. If you believe it or not, this is not where. This is actually post. This mountain here is actually post 1879. Actually, you see this big crater here? Let's zoom out. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Some of this is actually from AD 79. You might actually see some of the AD 79 eruption scar possibly, which could be this right here. lithics. To non-magma rocks, so like basically rocks, not pumice, rocks. So like stones, but not pumice because it would sink, so it's probably pretty more denser than pumice. Because pumice floats, but so this is likely the AD-79 eruption scar right here. So you can actually make out. Anyway, thank you for watching. Good night, everyone.